How are you guys doing? Guess we have just medical assistants in this room? Yeah. We have a few people snuck in the class. But one thing, they asked me to come in and speak to you guys. And what I am, I'm a success coach, an author, obviously a speaker. If I wasn't, I am today, right? And one of the things I want to share with you is a talk that we developed called You Are Here. And the question was asked, where are you? And I thought over that, where are you? I want that question to sink in a little bit, because that question was asked very early in the Bible, and I'm going to make reference to the Bible. It doesn't matter what your belief system is, make reference to it. But the fact of the matter is, the question was asked of Adam, where are you? And it wasn't about where was Adam physically, where was he located at. The question that God was asking him was, where are you, maybe emotionally, maybe psychologically, you want to get deep, maybe even spiritually. He was asking that question, where are you? So the question for you guys today is, where are you? Of course, we're all sitting here in Harris School of Business, right? We're all here. We're all here for different reasons. I mean, most of you guys are here as students. I'm obviously not here as a student. You guys are here trying to accomplish different things. You have different goals. You all are in different places in your respective lives. You're not all the same ages. You're not all the same races. Not all the same gender. So we're all here for different reasons. We all have different things that we're trying to accomplish. So the question again is, where are you? So when you think about where you are, I remember one time somebody called me and asked me for directions. They said, Kelly, how do I get to this location? I said, well, where are you? They said, I don't know. It's really difficult to give somebody directions to a place if you don't know where the starting point is. If you were to go into a mall, which is appropriate since we're basically sitting at atop a mall, if you go into the mall and you wanted to go to a store, and you didn't know where that store was, you were unfamiliar with the mall, you were unfamiliar with where that store is located, what would you do? Go to the directory, exactly. And that's what we do. We go to the directory, and we look at the directory, and we look at the list, and we identify the store that we wanted to go to. But now that we know where we want to go to, and we see that it says, hey, this store is located here, what else do we need to know? Where you're located, exactly. And how do we find that? Usually there's a spot mark on that directory somewhere, usually in red, a star, an arrow, could be a circle, and it says what in it? Exactly. You are here. And that's what I want to illustrate to you guys, or point out to you guys. We are all here right now. We're all at a starting point trying to get somewhere. The question is, where are we trying to get to? Because we're not all going to the same store in that mall. Some of us are going to Macy's. Some of us are going to Modell's. Some of us are trying to find a dollar store, what have you. But we're all going in different places in that store, in that mall. So where are we? And that's the question I want you guys to think about. Where are you? You are here, but what is here? And that's what we're going to talk about, is what is here to you? We're going to talk about why or how it is we got here. And then we're going to talk about getting to where we want to be, ultimately. So where are we? Now, again, that's not an easy question to answer because we're all in different places and different stages in our lives. Anybody in there? Anybody not yet 20? Exactly. Yeah. So we probably have some people, maybe, I know a lot of ladies don't like to talk about their ages, so we probably have people in there that are in their 20s, right? In their 30s. Might even be an occasional, anybody in their 40s? No? No one wants to admit that? Exactly. So we're all in these various different stages, but we're all here. We're all standing at that sign. We're all standing in front of the directory trying to figure out where it is we want to be. And the fact of the matter is we can get anywhere we want to be as long as we're willing to take to follow the course to get to where we want to be. Now, what's interesting is when you think about that, where we are, think about, I'm going to skip over to how it is we got to where we are, or why it is we are where we are. You want to think about the fact that when you think about where you are, you want to be honest about where it is you are in your life. Now, it's okay to be wherever it is you are, but one of the things that you guys may be familiar with Tony Robbins or Anthony Robbins, the speaker, one of the things he says is you want to be honest about where you are, because you can't fix something that you're not willing to acknowledge needs to be fixed, or that may be a challenge for you, right? Because he said, if you say to yourself, oh, I can stand to lose a few pounds, but you're 150 pounds overweight, you're not really being honest with yourself, right? You're downplaying where it is you really are in your life. And if you open up a bottle of Jack Daniels, with your Apple Jacks, you might have a drinking problem. But you don't want to say, oh, I like an occasional drink. You want to recognize that you, in fact, have a problem, then you can address that. But we have to do that with the good as well, and recognize there are a lot of good things that we have going on in our lives in terms of where we are. And we can celebrate those things. Like you guys are in school, you're educating yourselves, you're going somewhere. Hopefully this is a goal of yours, is to complete the program. Because I don't know if they do that here at this school, but when I went to DeVry, one of the things they say, and they said it at Temple as well, they say it at most schools, they'll tell you when you get there at orientation, they say, look to the person to your right, look to the person to your left. One of you will not be here. At DeVry, they said 2 of you won't be, because the program was pretty intense. And they were right, because I wasn't there. No, I didn't fail on the program. I actually had a 3.95 GPA, but I couldn't afford to, I said that I couldn't afford to stay there, but in fact, I should have been more creative in how I figured out how to pay for school. So that's actually an excuse, and that's one of the things we want to make sure we stay away from, is giving ourselves excuses for why it is we are where we are, especially if where we are is not where we want to be. Now again, where we are is going to be different. It's going to be different for all of us. And one of the things I want to encourage you guys to do is not compare yourself to your neighbor. Because that's never a good idea to compare yourself to your neighbor. We all have different things, different backgrounds. God has made us differently. Everybody has their own belief system, but God has made us all differently. So we can't go around comparing ourselves. We can, but it's futile. It's not a good idea to compare yourself to someone else. I know in my most recent, I guess, neighborhood, if you will, we were sitting around at a Christmas party, and I was realizing how far from being a peer of theirs I really was. I mean, I realized, you guys ever heard of the book called The Millionaire Next Door? Well, it's a really good book to pick up, especially if you're business-minded or you want to get to that point where you're wealthy. But I realized I had millionaires next door, and I just never thought of them that way. As a matter of fact, one of my neighbors, he bought a Porsche 911 GT. Paid $75,000 for it, used. That's an issue by itself. Because most of it, if I'm spending $75,000 for a car, it will not be used. But he bought this car used, but he was telling me the story of how he bought this car from a business partner of his. And he said, yeah, this guy wanted to get rid of his car because he didn't have enough horsepower for him. The car's 400 horsepower. There wasn't enough. He needed the turbo version of this car. So he bought a $150,000, $160,000 car and sold this one to his friend. But the point that I want to get to is, as he's having this conversation with me, he says, I had the car shipped from California over. It was on its way to the house, and I said, oh my God, I forgot to mention it to my wife. He dropped $75,000 without having that conversation with his wife. Now, I don't know how anybody married in here? Anybody in here can move $75,000 without having that conversation? I was like, okay. I said, really, I'm really not amongst my peers. Then I have another neighbor. This past Christmas, he said, I think it was this past Christmas, I was driving by his house and I saw a Bentley in his driveway. And then I didn't see it, and then I would see it again. They have a lot of cars. And so I asked him about it. I said, hey Dave, I said, that Bentley, I said, was that yours? He said, yeah. He said, oh my God, man. He said, this doctor came in. He said, I got to offload this Bentley. He said, first person with 110,000 can take this Bentley. So he said, so I ran down to the bank. See, that's when he left me. Because I didn't understand that conversation of going and writing a check for $110,000 on the spot. But those are the folks that I was around. But see, if I compare myself to them, I'll never be satisfied with who I am. Now, I can get to where they are, but I don't want to be them when I get there. I want to be the best me that I can be. You guys want to be the best you that you can be. You don't want to be the best imitation of someone else. The world doesn't need two of someone else. There was a book I read that said, don't be a copy of someone else. Don't imitate someone else. That position is already taken. So you want to make sure that you're being the best original that you can be. Now, I keep referring to my notes, guys, but this was written kind of in short order for you guys. One of the things about where you are now, one of the things I want you guys to keep in mind is no matter where you are in your life, you're here. When you say you are here, we're all standing at that sign again. When you think about that, your here is never final. You always have an opportunity to change where here is, right? You can go from here to here, just like in the mall. If you go from one directory to the other and you find another directory, the you are here is going to move, right? So you're going to be in another place, so you'll be closer to your target. And again, back to that analogy, let me back up to where I talked about being honest about where you are. What you don't want to do is you don't want to be standing at that directory sign. Looking at that sign, you see that it says you are here. Now if you take that sign, I'm sorry, we'll put it here. The sign's down low, it says you are here. You need to go up here, over here to your store. If you take that sign, if you rip that you are here sign off and put it up here, you're just going to be lost. It doesn't really put you any closer to your goal. No more than lying to yourself about where you are will put you closer to your goal, or closer to where you want to be, or make you any more whole than you really are. So be honest, make sure you're being honest with yourself in terms of where you are in your life. Yeah, so that you guys can take the necessary steps to get to where you want to be. Because again, if you move that you are here sign, you're not going to take the same path that you really need to take to get to where you want to be.